Whew. Hey there. We all know the environmental and ethical reasons for following a plant-based diet, but what happens inside our bodies as we swap out animal proteins for more plant-based ones? I'm Adam KRUGER, and you may know me as the PlantX Vegalier, but I'm also a lifelong athlete. Join me as I speak with different members of the medical advisory board here at PlantX to figure out exactly what goes on inside your body as you follow a more plant-based diet. Welcome to Medically Speaking. Virtually every single person who's followed a plant-based diet has at some point or another heard that we have to consume complete proteins. I'm going to use bunny ears. Complete proteins, meaning you have to have your rice and beans together or they won't have any effect on your protein consumption. Well, I decided it's time to call in a pro. On this episode, we have registered dietitian and certified nutrition support clinician Amy Gensel here to discuss the myth of complete proteins.
Hi, my name is Amy Gensel. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm actually a certified nutrition support clinician. I do a lot of calculations. It's a lot of math, calculating protein needs, carbohydrate needs, fat needs, vitamin needs. So excited to be here.
Yes, no, I think I'm more excited, to be honest. You said you handle care in the ER. Now, can you please just give everybody your actual full title, because I know it's huge and it's super important. So I just want to make sure that I get it right.
Yeah. So I'm a registered dietitian, and then I'm also a certified nutrition support clinician. And so I actually do cover the ER, but I also cover an ICU and some med surg floors in the hospital. So I kind of cover the gambit of both critical nutrition needs and once you're on the road to recovery.
Okay, so that seems like a really big responsibility. Can you talk about critical nutrition needs and what that means? So I want to give everyone an idea of, what it is that you're doing, because this will help everybody understand that, hey, look, she knows what she's talking about here.
Yeah. So in critical care, oftentimes your body starts processing nutrients differently. Protein is very important, especially if you have an infection or wound healing needs. So it's calculating all of those and trying to keep up with the most current research on best practices for what nutrition components different patient populations require.
Wow. Okay. So you're really kind of at the cutting edge of helping people figure out their nutrition needs for optimal health.
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, okay. First of all, this is great, because as someone who's been on a plant-based diet for a very, very long time, I've had so many questions come in to me about, well, how do you get your protein? And, do you have to eat so many different things in a day, and so on and so forth? And so I've kind of boiled that down to this whole, and I'm going to call it a myth of complete proteins. So can you talk about why we hear about complete proteins, and also if it's a myth that we have to eat like certain foods together so that it makes sense to be synthesized in the body?
Yeah. It is in fact a myth. It started because we thought that you had to have, there are 20 amino acids that we consume. Some of them we make in our body, and some of them are essential, meaning we have to consume them. There's 9 of those. And so with animal-based products, most of them contain all 9 essential amino acids. With plant-based products, or plants in general, grains, legumes, they have half of the components or certain amino acids, but not others. So we used to think that you had to consume them together, say rice and beans, in order to utilize all of those proteins and actually make muscles with them. We actually have found that that's not the case. You can eat them throughout your entire day. So say you have some rice with your lunch and some beans with your dinner, you're getting that complete protein. So you will be able to utilize those. There actually are some grains that are complete proteins themselves, things like quinoa, buckwheat, soy. Those items actually have all 9 essential amino acids in them by themselves.
So the people who think like, well, I've got to have my rice and beans together, otherwise I'm not having a complete meal. It's literal bunk, because you can have whatever you want during the day as long as you eat a balanced diet. You're going to get the right amount of protein. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, it does take a little extra planning and making sure you are getting a wide variety of foods. So you're not just eating one thing all day long. And typically, I don't know about you, but I like rice and beans together. They taste great, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, I do. I can definitely relate. I do like rice and beans together, especially if you season it right. And I mean, just last night I made this amazing fried rice. I just tried this new recipe, and it was with ginger and garlic and onion and some tamari and sesame. I'm hungry.
Sounds delicious. Yeah.
But it was just straight up rice, and then we had the protein afterwards, and that's totally fine. And I want to kind of talk. There's two things that I kind of want to discuss here, because we're talking about complete proteins, and you had mentioned. I'll start here. You had mentioned that animal-based proteins have all 9 essential amino acids that we need for our bodies, but the question is, where do these animals get their protein from so that they actually contain these 9 essential amino acids?
It's a great question. Most of them are getting them from grains and plants.
Right. So essentially, we're cutting out the middleman, right? When we go straight to the source.
Sure. Yeah.
And eliminating the cholesterol that comes with it. I don't know. For me, I'm obviously I have a plant-based agenda, so forgive me, but
I understand what you're saying, but it is true. I mean, you're getting a lot of nutrients, and the nice things about eating a lot of plant-based items, fruits, vegetables, grains, and getting a lot of different wide variety of colors is that you're also adding in a lot of different vitamins with each of those different items.
So basically what you're saying is you hit your macronutrients with the protein and carbs and fats, but you're also getting the micronutrients through the vitamins and minerals that are found mostly in plants as opposed to in animal products.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Okay, so now that we've kind of, so I want to say put that to bed, because this is just nutritional fact. It's not there's no opinions here. This is straight up fact. I want to know why rice is so vilified. I think that, and we can get into high carb, low carb in a totally different conversation, but I just want to know why rice is so vilified, because from what I understand, the studies have shown that people in countries where, rice and tofu and beans are higher up on the food chain as far as how much of them are being consumed, people are more heart healthy there. There's lower incidences of obesity, of diabetes, of all sorts of comorbidities. So can you talk about why rice has been so vilified?
Yeah, it's hard to say when it started, but I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, especially in American diets, our portion sizes are not small. And a lot of times, if you're eating massive amounts of food and anything, too much of anything is not great, right? So a lot of times when we're eating a portion of rice, we're not just eating one portion of rice, we're eating 3 to 4. And so yes, that is a large, high carb meal. However, it doesn't have to be, right? We can balance it, eating it with different vegetables, eating it with different items in the meal. You're still getting a full meal. You're still getting to enjoy your rice. I love it myself. It's delicious. And part of it too, I don't want to get too far into this, but a lot of it has to do with white supremacy, unfortunately. In this country, we try to whitewash a lot of things and take away cultural aspects of food. And it's a soapbox I stand on, but it's completely unnecessary. And especially like you were saying, in different cultures, that's a staple and they're very well nourished and very healthy.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad we cleared that up. It's very, very interesting because, diet is a thing that, people will literally, that's like the hill that they choose to die on, quote unquote. And that's kind of ironic because it literally can kill you or let you live longer,
yeah.
Right? So the last thing I want to, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, please,
I was just going to say, for the folks watching, if you are seeing a health professional and they're telling you to eliminate a food that is very culturally important to you, it might be time to find a new provider.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. So basically it's about making sure that you understand, or that your healthcare providers understand, the wide variety of things that are available to us, and that culturally, if it's been going on that's a double-edged sword. If it's been going on for thousands of years, like eating meat, for example. But again, I think that that's changed over the course of, the last few generations, where we've gone from, a small amount on your plate to factory farming, just out of control, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the last thing I want to say as far as the complete protein part before we wrap up this episode, you know, for the everyday regular human being, I want to say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, basically, if you just eat a nice wide variety of plant-based sources from, you know, rice, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, tofu, all the different fun things that you can have. And there's so many different plant-based meats that you can eat that are so, so good. And obviously in moderation because they're very processed, but still good, you know, still a source of protein. For those people, they're going to be nutritionally covered and taken care of. When it comes to athletes who are performing at a higher level, how does the dietary needs, or how do the dietary needs change?
Well, obviously, if athletes are going to need a higher quantity, right? They're burning off more. They're trying to build more muscle. They need more energy for cardiovascular work. So portion sizes are going to increase appropriately. And then as long as, again, they're getting a wide variety, lots of colors. I really am a proponent of colors because they add so many different nutrients. And like you were saying, things like you could add buckwheat, some tempeh. There's so many different options that you can consume in order to meet your protein needs.
I love that. So basically what you're saying is this whole myth of a complete protein is just that. It's a myth. Yes, there are 9 essential amino acids that we need to consume because our body doesn't make them. However, if you eat the right variety on a plant-based diet, you're going to meet those needs with no problems whatsoever. And because you're in a plant-based space and we're trying to eat the rainbow, as we say, you will get all the macro and micronutrients necessary to achieve optimal health.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely possible. It might take a little more planning. You know, you might not be able to just go to the grocery store and grab that first thing off the shelf. But there's so many options, so many, like you were saying, you just tried a new recipe yesterday. There are so many different recipes now available to make sure that you are getting all of your macronutrients, all of your micronutrients in a plant-based diet.
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here and to share your expertise, your knowledge, and obviously your kindness. So thank you. For everyone watching at home, it's very simple. This complete protein myth is just that. It's a myth. Eat more plants. Find yourself a nice wide variety of fresh fruits, vegetables, or cook them for that matter. If that floats your boat, cook them. I cook them. I like them cooked. But at the end of the day, just eat more plants and know that you will get the right profile of nutrients needed on a plant-based diet. Amy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I hope you learned something new here today, because I sure did. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments below, and we'll address them in a future episode. Until then, stay fit, stay healthy, and eat more plants. See you next time.